Welcome back to Poorly Educated Today in the News, the only show where world events get explained by a man who once argued with a microwave because he thought it was acting uppity. That's right. Grab your sweet tea, duct tape your expectations to the nearest fence post, and let's see what fresh madness the world cooked up today. I know y'all love when I try to explain international diplomacy like it's a family reunion argument at a Nashville Golden Corral. So buckle up, because the world's about as stable as my cousin Donnie's third marriage and twice as loud. We've got global drama, domestic chaos, science that makes me feel dumber by the second, and yes, a special election down in Tennessee that got rednecks and suburban moms equally fired up, which is a miracle considering most of them only agree when Target puts scented candles on sale. Let's jump in before something else catches fire. Segment 1. Putin, Kushner, and the world's worst couples therapy session. The Russia-Ukraine peace talks in Moscow collapsed harder than my uncle's lawn chair at the 4th of July barbecue. And trust me, that thing had seen some things. So here's what happened. Trump sends Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to go talk sense into Vladimir Putin. Now that's already wild, because if I'm picking a negotiation team to handle a nuclear-armed warlord, I'm not sending the guy who once couldn't get a security clearance because he forgot 100 foreign contacts. They talked for 5 whole hours, longer than most marriages in my hometown. And what did they get? Nothing. Putin basically said the peace plan was totally unacceptable, which is diplomatic talk for "you ain't getting squat." Then he threatened Europe like a drunk guy in a Waffle House parking lot. "We do not plan to fight Europe, but if Europe wants to fight us, we're ready now." Sir, please. Europe just wants to eat cheese, drink wine, and pretend Brexit was a fever dream. Ukraine's foreign minister responded by saying Putin was faking interest in peace, which is funny because that's exactly what my ex said about me and household chores. NATO officials called Russia inflexible, which is a polite way of saying these dudes would rather set their shoes on fire than admit they were wrong. This whole thing's like watching 2 dudes argue over parking spots while sitting on top of a mountain of gasoline. And America? We're the neighbor filming it for TikTok. Segment 2. Trump tells Israel to be nice to Syria, because apparently that's a thing now. So then we zip on over to the Middle East, where Trump is telling Netanyahu to take it easy on Syria, because the new Syrian leadership is supposedly trying to make it a better place. Sure. And my cousin Earl is trying to make his garage a home gym. One push-up does not make you Dwayne Johnson. Trump says Israel needs to maintain a strong dialogue with Syria. Now look, I'm not a foreign policy expert. My degree is from the School of Hard Knocks and occasional tractor fires. But when the U.S. suddenly starts saying, "Hey, maybe Syria's chill now," that's like hearing your bank say, "Your overdraft fees are just a suggestion." Meanwhile, the UN is in Syria and Lebanon trying to keep the region from collapsing like a dollar store camping tent. They're meeting the new Syrian president, delivering aid, and probably wondering why every assignment they get involves dodging missiles. And over in Gaza, they're trying to open the Rafah crossing again with EU supervision. The whole process is so complicated, they might as well ask Waffle House employees to run it, because at least those people know how to restore order during chaos. Then Israel got back remains from Hamas and discovered, surprise, they were the wrong people. That's not a mix-up. That's straight-up psychological warfare. Imagine ordering a DoorDash and getting someone else's leftovers from 2017. Segment 3. Taiwan Assurance Act. The U.S. pokes the dragon again. Now let's head east to the Indo-Pacific, where Trump signed the Taiwan Assurance Implementation Act. This thing basically tells China, yeah, we're still hanging out with Taiwan, regular visits, annual reviews, dinner every Sunday. What you gonna do about it? This act forces the State Department to constantly update how we interact with Taiwan. It's like putting your relationship status with Taiwan as, it's complicated, but we're not breaking up, try us. Congress basically locked it in, so no future president can quietly ghost Taiwan without causing a whole congressional meltdown. China is not going to love this, but China hasn't loved much we've done since we invented TikTok and then complained about TikTok. So tensions? Rising? Stakes? High? The Indo-Pacific right now is like a redneck's truck bed. Too much stuff bouncing around and not enough straps to keep it from breaking something. Segment 4. The National Guard shooting, tragedy, fallout, and political firestorms. Here at home, Washington, D.C. is still reeling from the National Guard shooting. 2 Guard members, Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, were ambushed near Farragut West, just blocks from the White House. Beckstrom died from her wounds. Wolf is fighting for his life, but showing signs of responsiveness. The shooter? A former CIA-backed zero-unit Afghan commando named Rahmanullah Lakanwal, someone vetted and brought in under Operation Allies Welcome, and he reportedly drove 3,000 miles to carry out the attack. That man spent more time in a car than I have since my ex stole my Ford F-150 in the divorce. The fallout has been nuclear. Trump paused all Afghan visa processing, halted asylum decisions, and ordered 500 more National Guard troops to D.C. The administration says this is about national security. Critics say it's collective punishment. The only thing both sides agree on is that the shooter studied the Guard before ambushing them, which raises more questions than answers. And Attorney General Pam Bondi is considering the death penalty. When Pam Bondi starts talking punishment, you know it ain't gonna be a Yelp review situation. Segment 5. The autopen controversy. Because 2025 needed more constitutional weirdness. Trump has now terminated all Biden-era documents signed by autopen, including pardons and commutations. Because apparently, in 2025, we're debating whether a robot signature counts. Let me get this straight. We had a whole pandemic, economic crises, global wars, UFO hearings, and now people are angry that Joe Biden used a fancy pen machine? If autopens are illegal, then somewhere every Hallmark card in America just became contraband. Trump says pardons signed by autopen don't count. DOJ says they do. Legal scholars say they do. Everyone with common sense says they do. Except Trump, who seems to think Biden should have sat down and hand-signed every letter like he's writing thank you cards after a church potluck. This could also undo pardons for Biden's siblings, Millie, Fauci, but not Hunter, because that one Biden signed by hand, which is hilarious. Hunter Biden being the only pardon Trump can't revoke feels like a cosmic joke written by the universe's laziest sitcom writer. Segment 6. Trump v. Slaughter. The Supreme Court showdown to end all showdowns. The Supreme Court is about to hear Trump versus Slaughter, where Trump argues he should be allowed to fire FTC commissioners without cause. If Trump wins, independent agencies become not so independent. Basically presidential pets. Goodbye regulatory guardrails. Hello, FCC now reports directly to Trump's group chat. This case could overturn 90 years of precedent. And let me tell you, anytime something might overturn anything from the 1930s, you know trouble is brewing. Segment 7. The Great American Economic Split. Services up, manufacturing down, AI everywhere. The economy's doing that weird thing where half of it is thriving and the other half is crying in the Waffle House parking lot. Services sector, up. Manufacturing, down faster than a drunk uncle slipping off a pontoon boat. Manufacturing PMI is at 48.2. That's recessional territory, the 9th month in a row. Service sector PMI is above 52, meaning folks are still buying stuff like haircuts and Uber rides, but factories are quieter than a church on Super Bowl Sunday. Meanwhile, AI companies are claiming they'll boost productivity by 1.8% a year. That's huge. That's like saying your lawnmower is going to run on prayers and moonshine forever. But the study was written by the AI itself, which feels like asking a fox if it's a good idea to build a henhouse made of nachos. Segment 8. Stockton, California. Another tragedy in a country full of them. In Stockton, 4 people, including 3 children, were killed at a banquet hall when gunmen opened fire. 10 injured. No suspects arrested yet. Police think it was targeted. This country has more shootings than my cousin has excuses for why he didn't return my tools. And that man once said, "The sun stole them." Segment 9. Blizzard blast. Winter arrives like it's mad at somebody. The Northeast got slammed with the first major snowstorm of the season, up to 10 inches in parts of New England. Flights canceled, schools closed. A tractor-trailer driver in West Virginia had to be rescued when his rig dangled off a bridge like a Christmas ornament. Every year the weather gets weirder, and every year folks in New England still act surprised when snow happens. Y'all live in a snow factory. That's like Floridians acting surprised when an alligator shows up in a Wendy's bathroom. Segment 10. Tennessee Special Election. TN07 gets weirdly competitive. Now let's talk Tennessee, baby. The TN07 special election happened, and let me tell you, this one had more twists than my aunt's homemade cinnamon pretzels. Republican Matt Van Epps beat Democrat Afton Bain. Cool. Fine. GOP holds the seat. But here's the part that made political nerds spit out their boiled peanuts. Van Epps only won by 9 points. In a district, Trump won by 22. That is not supposed to happen in deep red Tennessee. That's like going to a monster truck rally and half the crowd is driving Priuses. Van Epps ran full MAGA. Trump endorsed him. Mike Johnson endorsed him. Dude had every conservative stamp of approval, except maybe a Bass Pro Shops sponsorship. Meanwhile, Afton Bain pulled suburban moms, rural Democrats, independents, anyone who still remembers when bipartisan wasn't a curse word. Republicans kept the seat, but the margin shrinking that much? Oh, honey. Analysts saw that and said, this ain't just smoke. Something's smoldering. Democrats are now saying red states might be shifting on kitchen table issues. Republicans are saying it's a fluke. Voters are saying, please stop calling us during dinner. But make no mistake, this is going to be talked about all the way into the 2026 midterms. Segment 11, Alabama DEI War. Now even the magazines are in trouble. University of Alabama suspended a women's lifestyle magazine and a black culture magazine claiming DEI concerns. That's right. Now even student magazines are considered threats to national security. Next up, the university bans scented candles because they promote diversity of aromas. Segment 12, Space News, New Planets, New Galaxies, and a Universe that Won't Sit Still. Astronomers found two new giant space objects, a super Jupiter 18 times the size of Jupiter, and a brown dwarf. These are test targets for the upcoming Roman Space Telescope, and the James Webb found a galaxy called Alaknanda that looks like the Milky Way, from only 1.5 billion years after the Big Bang. That's way too early. That's like finding a fully grown redneck baby with a beard, dip can, and opinions on carburetors. The universe keeps breaking its own rules. Scientists keep pretending they're not confused. I keep pretending I understand any of this. Segment 13. Sports, Score Act, Haley Carter, and Buckeyes domination. Congress is pushing the SCORE Act to protect the NCAA by making athletes not employees. Athletes say, this sucks. Republicans say, this is fine. Democrats say, this violates rights. And fans say, can y'all hurry up so we can watch football in peace? Meanwhile, the Washington Spirit hired Haley Carter as president of soccer operations. Ohio State is now #1 in the nation. That's right. Even in a collapsing world economy, at least the Buckeyes are doing fine. Somewhere a Michigan fan just threw a piece of furniture. In conclusion, today's news looks like someone put international diplomacy, domestic chaos, cosmic mysteries, snowstorms, and Tennessee politics into a blender and hit liquefy. Folks, the world is wild, America is exhausted, and I'm over here still trying to figure out why AI thinks it's the new boss when it can't even explain why microwaves beep. But that's why you tune in, because somewhere between the redneck analogies, the global crises, and the metaphors I probably stole from a Waffle House bathroom wall, there's a tiny nugget of truth. Nobody knows what the hell is going on, but we're gonna laugh about it anyway. This has been Poorly Educated Today in the news, where the facts are real, the commentary is questionable, and the accent gets thicker the more stressed I get. Stay safe, stay weird, and stay poorly educated.